What have you made of what you've seen of Shedeur Sanders so far?
Good player, good young player, off to a great start. Dangerous with the tool set that he brings to the table. And he's done a great job. I think their offense has actually ratcheted up since he's been under center. So that'll be a big challenge for us.
People thought Shedeur, NFL GM said, he's a little immature. I agree. He's not serious enough for my taste. There's a reason he dropped. Every team in this league passed on him at least 4 times. And I don't know if he's going to be a franchise quarterback. But Shedeur's got nothing to work with. He's looked pretty good. But it is pretty fascinating. In a league desperate for a certain position, 8 teams minimum need one, and everybody passed on him. I get it. He's a little immature. He's not serious enough for me. But I'll also argue he's the best rookie quarterback.
What have you made of it? What you've seen of Shedeur Sanders so far? Good player. Good young player. Off to a great start. And unless the Browns fire Stefanski and hire someone who will develop Shedeur the way McDermott developed Allen, they're going to waste a generational talent while watching him ball out against them this Sunday. So don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. That wasn't just praise. That was a warning. Because listen, NFL head coaches do not hand out compliments like candy. Especially not in December. Especially not days before they've got to line up across from you. They don't do it. Not if they can help it. They'll dodge. They'll downplay. They'll hit you with that robotic good player. We've got to execute stuff and move on. That's the league. That's the code. So when Sean McDermott sits up there and says, good player, good young player, off to a great start, dangerous with the tool set he brings to the table, that's not filler. That's not politeness. That's respect. And then he goes a step further, the part that should make every Browns fan's head snap back like, wait, what did he just say? He says the offense has ratcheted up since Shedeur has been under center. Ratcheted up, not that they've been okay. Not that they've had some moments. Ratcheted up, elevated, improved. That is a real football statement. That's film talk. That's a coach telling you, yeah, we see the difference. And I need you all to really sit with how wild that is, because McDermott isn't some hot take artist. He's not trying to win a debate show clip. He's the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. He's preparing a game plan. He's watching every snap. He's breaking down tendencies, protections, route combos, how the rookie handles pressure, how he reacts when the first read isn't there. And after doing all of that, he looked at Shedeur and basically said, this kid is a problem. That's a message, whether he meant it to be or not. And that's why Browns fans are heated, because compare that energy to what you hear from inside Cleveland. From Kevin Stefanski, it's always the same flavor of nothing. We're taking it week to week. We're hopeful. He's got the same attitude every day. It's like he's talking about a backup kicker, not the quarterback that's supposed to be the face of your franchise for the next 10 years. And it creates this sick feeling as a fan, because you're watching the same games. You're seeing the same sparks. You're seeing the kid make throws that aren't normal for a rookie. You're seeing the offense look more alive, more aggressive, more confident. And then your own head coach steps up and talks like he's still undecided, still hesitant, still halfway out the door. So let me ask you this, and I want you to really think about it. If everyone outside the building sees it, why doesn't the building itself? Let's slow this down for a second, because once you strip away the noise, the takes, the agendas, and the talking points, the reality of where Shedeur Sanders actually stands, right? Now is a lot clearer than people want to admit. When he stepped into this offense, the role wasn't complicated, but it was heavy. Protect the ball, command the huddle, don't sink the ship. That's usually the rookie assignment. And instead of shrinking into that box, you can see him quietly expand the entire operation. The tempo changed. The offense stopped looking like it was just trying to survive downs and started looking like it knew where it wanted to go. There's more rhythm, more decisiveness, more purpose between plays. Watch the film, not the box score debates, not the social media clips. Watch how he handles the pocket. He's not frantic. He's not bailing early. He's keeping his eyes downfield, making protection calls, checking into better looks. That stuff matters. That's quarterbacking. And it shows up in the little moments, third and manageable instead of third and forever. Drives that don't die from confusion. Receivers actually knowing when the ball is coming their way. Is he perfect? No. And that's the laziest criticism people throw around. Of course, he's not perfect. He's a rookie. He misses throws. He forces a ball every now and then. Welcome to the NFL. But perfection was never the bar. Growth is, trajectory is, and that arrow is pointing up whether people want to say it out loud or not. That's where the contradiction gets loud. On the field, you're seeing stabilization. You're seeing an offense that looks calmer, more organized, more confident with him under center. But publicly, the messaging sounds like he's still in an audition. Like this is temporary. Like they're still waiting to be convinced. And that disconnect is jarring as a fan. Because he's elevating the offense, he's stabilizing the offense, and somehow, he's still being treated like a temporary solution. The media narratives don't match the film. The skepticism doesn't match the impact. And we've seen this story before. Young quarterbacks who don't get grace, don't get time, don't get commitment. Some survive it, most don't, and that's the part that should worry you the most. Because Shedeur's biggest challenge right now isn't the speed of NFL defenses or the complexity of coverages, it's whether the organization behind him is willing to stand still long enough to let him grow. This is where it stops being subtle, because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. This is what sabotage actually looks like in the NFL. And no, it doesn't always come with screaming headlines or public blow-ups. Most of the time, it's quiet. It's disguised as patience, as week to week as we're just evaluating. But to a young quarterback, it feels like standing on a trapdoor that might drop at any moment. It starts with a lack of public support, not criticism, just silence. No chest-thumping confidence. No, that's our guy. Just carefully worded nothing. And fans know the difference. When a coach believes in his quarterback, you hear it. You feel it. It comes through even when the QB struggles. With Shedeur, it always feels conditional. Then it's the vague answers. Every time there's a chance to endorse him, it turns into a hedge. We're hopeful we'll see it's about this week. That might sound harmless, but to a quarterback trying to lead grown men in a huddle, it's corrosive. Leadership doesn't grow in uncertainty. Confidence doesn't thrive in ambiguity. And then there's the preparation side. The stuff fans don't always see but players feel immediately. Inconsistent reps, to shifting expectations, an offense that doesn't feel fully built around what the quarterback does best. That sends a message whether anyone wants to admit it or not. You're not the long-term plan yet. And here's the part people miss. Development isn't just play, it's psychological safety. It's knowing that when you throw a pick, the building isn't quietly reaching for the next option. Quarterbacks don't play free when they're being evaluated like a rental car. They play tight, they play cautious, or they press. Now go back to what Sean McDermott talked about. Veteran leadership, teaching by example, tone setters, toughness. A culture that wraps around a young quarterback and says, we've got you, keep firing. So I'll ask you and really think about it. Where is that for Shedeur right now? Where are the veterans publicly riding with him? Where is the organizational voice saying, that's our leader? Where is the structure that allows a young QB to fail forward instead of looking over his shoulder? This isn't about making excuses. This isn't about pretending mistakes don't matter. It's about context. And context shapes careers in this league more than raw talent ever will. And the scary part, if the context doesn't change, neither will the outcome, no matter how gifted the quarterback is. This is the part of the story that people keep overlooking, because even with everything stacked against him, Shedeur keeps showing up like someone who already knows who he is. Pressure hasn't sped him up. Criticism hasn't rattled him. And that matters more than people realize. You can see it in his body language, in the way he walks to the huddle after a bad series, in how he answers questions after losses. There's no panic, no rookie shell, just accountability and forward motion. And that's not normal. Most young quarterbacks crack when belief around them starts to wobble. They either retreat into safe throws or they start pressing, trying to prove everything on every snap. Shedeur hasn't done either. He keeps playing within himself, even when the environment isn't doing him any favors. That tells you something about his internal wiring. Think about how he's handled the noise. The "is he the guy" conversations, the constant comparisons, the whispers about what the team might do next year. Instead of firing back or sulking, he keeps his head down and works. That's leadership, not the loud kind, the steady kind, the kind teammates notice even when coaches don't say it into a microphone. Watch the sidelines. Watch how guys respond to him after a tough drive. There's communication, there's trust, there's a sense that he owns the moment, even when the moment isn't pretty. Those are the quiet details fans pick up on, the stuff that doesn't always show up in press conferences. And this is where it connects back to everything Sean McDermott was talking about without ever naming names. Players who know who they are, players who push through adversity, players who don't let the deck being stacked against them change their approach. That description fits someone in Cleveland right now, whether the organization wants to acknowledge it or not. Shedeur is already doing the hardest part of this job. He's leading without guarantees. He's competing without protection. He's growing without reassurance. Most quarterbacks don't survive that stage, which is why this moment isn't actually about proving whether Shedeur Sanders belongs in the NFL. He's already answering that question every Sunday. The moment is about something bigger. It's about whether the Browns are willing to recognize what they have before they force him to become great somewhere else. Sunday isn't just another game on the schedule, it's an exposure event. Because when these two teams line up, what you're really watching isn't Bills versus Browns. You're watching two philosophies collide. On one side, a quarterback who was developed with patience, protected through early mistakes, and publicly believed in even when the results weren't pretty. On the other, a quarterback surviving chaos, mixed messages, and organizational hesitation, still standing, still fighting, still growing anyway. This game is symbolic whether anyone wants to admit it or not. You've got a coach in Sean McDermott who never flinched on Josh Allen. Not after the accuracy issues, not after the early losses, not when the league was laughing. He stood in front of microphones and told everyone, "That's our guy." And then he built the infrastructure to make sure that belief meant something. Time, trust, commitment. And then you've got Kevin Stefanski, who speaks in maybes, in weeks, in hopefuls, in no-nans, and that difference shows up on Sundays more than any play design ever could. This isn't about guaranteeing a win. Football doesn't work like that. Anyone promising outcomes is lying to you. What Sunday promises is clarity, clear film, clear contrast, clear truth. You're going to see what belief looks like in real time. You're going to see how a quarterback plays when he knows the building has his back versus how one plays when he's carrying that weight alone. You're going to see preparation versus hesitation, conviction versus evaluation. And when the game's over, no spin will be able to hide it. That's why fans need to lock in and trust their eyes, not the press conferences, not the narratives, not the future draft talk. Your eyes, because they've been telling you the truth for weeks now. Remember who showed respect when it mattered. Remember the opposing coach who didn't have to say anything but chose to say everything. Remember the difference between acknowledging talent and nurturing it, because talent has never been the issue in Cleveland. Commitment has, and history has a funny way of sorting all this out. It doesn't keep track of who hesitated. It doesn't care who doubted. It doesn't archive the excuses. History only remembers one thing: who believed when it counted.